Hello, fantastic 3G artists. Today I'm going to share a little art history with you as we look at a famous paper collage by Matisse. This is called Icarus. And not only are we looking at a famous artist and the work he did, but we're also tying this in to our mythology that we study at Parnassus. The Greek mythology that we are going to look at is from a story where the main character, Icarus, runs into some trouble. So we'll look at this more in a minute, but I want to tell you a little bit about the artist Henri Matisse. Here we go. Henri Matisse was one of the most important painters of the 20th century. He said he wanted his artwork to give people pleasure and to be soothing, kind of like a comfortable armchair that you can rest in after a hard day's work. Henri Matisse's greatest works do just what he wanted. By perfectly balancing simple shapes and beautiful colors, his paintings seem to make you feel good all over. This is one of my favorites, called the Goldfish. Sometimes Henri added decorative lines and colorful patterns to his paintings. He often let the plain white canvas show through in spots to give his colors a bright, sparkling feel. Now, I'm going to skip ahead to the end of his life, which is when he started making his paper cutouts for artwork. In his later years, when most artists start to slow down, Henri surprised people by creating art that was fresher and more colorful than ever before. When he was older and had trouble standing at his easel, Henri switched to a new form of art that could be done sitting down. Henri cut out shapes from brightly colored paper to make some of his most exciting art ever. Henri said it was like drawing with scissors and sculpting with color. Henri Matisse lived to be 84 years old. By the time he died, his artwork was known all over the world. So boys and girls, even when he was too sick and weak to stand at his easel and paint, he found ways to create art. And that idea of painting with scissors, the idea where he would have brightly painted colorful paper and he would take his big scissors and cut out shapes, and then he would have them arranged in different patterns. It's just inspiring, and I hope that you will be inspired by this piece. This was one that he created with his painting with scissors techniques. And so this is a painting, also a collage. The paper was painted. The collages means it was cut out and glued together. This was called Icarus because it shows the story of a Greek myth. And I'm going to share that story with you right now. The Story of Icarus. A long time ago, there was a man named Daedalus. He lived on the island of Crete with his son, Icarus. Daedalus was a very clever craftsman who invented all sorts of things. One day, the king asked Daedalus to invent a maze from which no one could escape. Daedalus worked hard to build the king a winding, twisting maze. But when he had finished, the king's favor turned, and he threw Daedalus and his son Icarus into the tower at the top of the maze. "Let's get on one of these boats," shouted Icarus, pointing towards the sea. "No," replied Daedalus, "that's too dangerous. The king's men guard every ship that leaves the island." Icarus looked at the walls surrounding them on top of the tower. "We'll never get out of here," he sighed. But Daedalus was looking up at the sky, watching the seagulls fly through the air. Swoop, swoop, swoop they went, all around the tower, then off into the distance. "I've got it!" Daedalus leapt up, pointing his finger toward the birds. "We will fly out of here." Icarus and his father set about gathering feathers. "Here's one," exclaimed Icarus. "Bring it over here," Daedalus instructed his son as he sat molding the feathers together. Eventually their work was done, and Daedalus held up 2 pairs of beautiful feathered wings. Daedalus fitted the wings to his own shoulders and then gave a pair to Icarus. They moved around, slowly at first, until they could wave their arms up and down, like birds. "Remember," said Daedalus to his son, "never fly too high. The blaze of the sun will melt your feathers if you go too near it." But Icarus wasn't listening. He was too excited. He was about to fly for the first time. He watched as his father took to the sky. Then he lifted his arms and began flapping. Up, up, up he went. He could see the island of Crete disappearing below his feet. Icarus looked around. He could no longer see father. The air grew warmer and warmer. His arms seemed heavy and tired. The light feather wings that had carried him into the clouds were beginning to fall away. Then he remembered the words of his father Daedalus. "Don't fly too high." Oh, he looked up, and the sun was beating down on his back. His wings were melting. Suddenly he was falling down, down, down towards the sea. "Father!" he shouted. Daedalus watched with sadness from the sky as his son hit the water with a heavy splash. The end. So he couldn't save his son from falling. It was a story with a sad ending. The wax that had held the wings together melted away. And that is the scene that Henri Matisse captured when he created this collage. Do you see how Icarus is falling through the sky? Do you see that red heart within him here? This is showing that he's still alive. These are the moments before he splashes into the water. A tragic, but yet exhilarating moment. I'm going to have us use the inspiration of this creation to do our next project. Thanks for checking in with my art history video today. See you next time.